favorite friends. I got my .44 and bullets galore and caps aplenty to spend. I got the courier blues and a real short fuse. It's a hell of a message I send. I'm gonna take a trip to Vegas, going hunting down on the strip. I got a bet to make on a real big stake, throwing down my platinum chip. So if I cross your trail, better turn your tail, boy, you ain't gonna give me the slip. I broke every casino, free side to Reno. Won't stop until I get my prize. I'm gonna chase you down in Vegas at the end of a lonesome road. My pit boy's lagging and the screens are dragging and it takes forever to load. I fought 1,000 thugs and 1,000,000 bugs. Boy, you're just another glitch in my code. I broke every casino, free side to Reno. Won't stop until I get my prize. Oh yeah! Woo! I'm gonna take a trip to Vegas with my two favorite friends. I got my .44 and bullets galore and caps aplenty to spend. I got the courier blues and a real short fuse. It's a hell of a message I send. God damn it, not again.
And groans of the motors and the masts on the sovereign sea. Trinkets of shrieking bone, tainted tokens of the past come to trouble me. Out of time, I go running as you're running out of time. Storming forth I return from the nothing. I am back to reclaim what's mine. Cast into darkest voids, ever waiting for the chime of the hand at two. Clocks of a heart destroyed, circulating in the blind as they stand with you. Out of time, I go round. taken gifts of the darkest shrines. I have seen despair in the saddest faces. Now I'm back to reclaim what's mine. Keep the clocks a-running, keep every hammer drumming. Time will open the door. Keep the clocks a-running, keep every hammer drumming. I'm coming back to the fore. Set the wheels, I'm coming back to the fore. Keep the clocks a-running, keep every hammer drumming. Time will open the doors. Keep the clocks a-running, keep every hammer drumming. I'm coming back to the fore. Set the wheels, I'm coming back to the fore. There's the whale song drifting over the shore. Set the wheels, I'm coming back to the fore.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Final Show. I'm John, the executive producer here, and I've just got a few pre-show notes for you. First of all, I want to let everybody know that our addresses have changed. Our Twitch channel has changed from Senstaku to twitch.tv/FinalShowFilms, and our YouTube channel has also changed to youtube.com/FinalShowFilms. Next, we want to thank our $20 tier supporters on Patreon, which is patreon.com/FFilms, by the way, if you want to go throw a couple bucks our way. That's going to be Cat Waterflame, Antitonic, Samantha Bates, and Maureen Monty. Thank you guys for that. Also, our website is in the process of getting updated, so go take a look at finalshowfilms.com. We've got Mara and Jeremy are working on updating all of our stuff there, making it look nice and like a modern website, and frankly, they know what they're doing far better than I or Austin ever did. So if you want to check out the things that are changing over there, you go do that. Follow us on Twitter at Final Show Films for updates for all future things, including things that are going on with our website and things that are going on with the Patreon page, and things that are going on live as we stream them, as well as our podcasts and everything else. So thank you very much for watching. Y'all have a good day. And we're live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Hunt at the Vigil Terminus Tendency. I am William, and I am the storyteller for this New World of Darkness campaign. And joining me today, we have Aaron.
Hi, I'm Aaron, and I am playing Drew, the Lucifuge scholar.
And Jack.
Hey everybody, I'm Jack. I'm playing Eamon Mulcahy, one of the Malleus Maleficarum.
And John.
I'm John. I'm playing Sean Mulcahy, the other of the Malleus Maleficarum.
And Craig.
I'm Craig. I'm playing Paul Phillips, the Aegis Kaidoru acquisitions expert.
And Holly.
I'm Holly. I'm playing Astrid Ashwin, Knights of St. Atrian.
And Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm playing Nina Sky, Union Rockstar.
And when last we left off, the group had most of a day to do an amount of information gathering to sort of begin some new leads, as their old ones seem to have gone cold, as their last known location of the vampire leader known as the Colonel has just vanished with the Colonel himself. And new problems have begun to arise with some sort of mass murderer leaving corpse bits of various supernaturals outside of your hideout as a present, outside of the group's hideout as a present, and had just returned with intent to rest as the sun began to set. But before we continue on with that, we take a trip to an undisclosed location in a dark room as a man continues to give his presentation. And so, well, confusion and consternation begin to build as suspicions begin to mount and theories begin to form with no particular evidence to truly give a solid answer. But as the threads begin to coalesce and people have to decide which directions they're going to go, it's not just the problems that arised here on the external that really became of interest in this report, but also a bit of an examination of why the individual organizations should really be spending a bit more time examining their interpersonal correspondence as well, because as tensions rose on the outside, they also rose within our makeshift cell of soldiers against the dark forces. And so a little bit of extra focus is given in this portion of the report to the comings and goings of our erstwhile heroes, shall we say. And so, picking up as the last of you arrive back at the hideout for the evening, what are your plans for the night before you start to take a rest?
I'm going to see if I can get this fang dagger to work for me.
Yeah, aren't you doing sort of newborn dad skin to skin?
That's
Yep.
right. We were playing cards. That's right.
Yep.
Drew,
I was
Colleen, and
losing.
I were playing cards.
I also ordered a game console to Nina's apartment.
Yep.
That should arrive within 2 hours, apparently.
Yeah, Amazon Prime.
Amazon
And
now.
Nearly, or Amazon Now. And
Yeah.
a lot of dots and resources in a fictional universe.
Astrid is going to call Archer.
You pull your phone out and call. It rings twice before the phone picks up. Hey, sis.
Hey. First of all, ignore all the texts that I've been sending you.
Yeah, I just saw those.
Okay. So, have some of your guys gone missing?
In the past day, because I've been asleep all day for obvious reasons.
Yes.
I'd have to check and see if anyone's gone missing over the course of, the daylight hours, but I mean, vampires go missing on the regular basis, just as part of you guys tend to be active.
That's probably me and my brother's fault.
There were at Nina's apartment. They woke up to a bunch of, I guess, dismembered body parts. Some were werewolf, some were changeling, and there were a couple piles of ash.
Okay. Anything particular about them, or?
I mean, that's all we really know, right?
I mean, they did spell something out.
Oh, right. What did it spell out again?
I believe it was. I believe it literally said "present for you."
Yeah.
Okay. They spelled out "present for you."
Hang on, and he's got to make a roll for me. Let's see his intelligence and occult. Okay, yeah, he's pretty decent. Not bad. Oh, shit, that's going to be a problem.
Things you're always excited for the GM to say.
I know you weren't as in tune with the whole background of the hunter world as I was when I was alive. I know that, but do you remember me and Jonas ever talking about things called slashers?
Can she recall that at all?
Roll me intelligence and occult. Nope.
No, I don't think I recall that.
All right. Well, give you a brief rundown. Slashers are people like you and, well, like I used to be. People like us who were not right in the head. People who saw the monsters and just wanted to fucking kill. Some of them get really good at it, and some of them don't care what the hell's going on. They don't work with the organizations like we used, like you did and like I did, like you do and I did. They're just out there to kill monsters and anyone else that gets in their way. And sometimes they figure out their own special tools and tricks, sort of like we have with our ink and the Vatican hunters have with their holy powers. Sometimes slashers can figure out their own special tricks, and they're unique when that happens. But it's a catch-all term, and it sort of goes around mostly the higher-ups of the hunter societies who know about them. But if you've got a slasher who might be an admirer of the hunter groups and thinks they're really cool, they might start leaving you presents because they think they're trying to get, your approval and your attention, because it seems like they think they're doing what's right when they're really just indulging a psychopathic fetish for murder.
Awesome. All right. I will pass that information. I will pass that information on. Also, we tried to go after the colonel.
You got away?
And yeah, once we got into the building, we took his coffin, and we took some computers and stuff. We're trying to get information off of them.
Well, you can get that information and you'll probably be able to at least get a new lead, but that guy's crafty. Every time I tried to catch him, he's gotten away from me too.
Do you don't happen to know like any of his hideouts?
I mean, every hideout we've managed to find was abandoned when we got there.
All right.
He's really good at covering his tracks, but if you manage to catch some of his computers before they could be evacuated, maybe that'll be useful.
Yeah, it might give us something to go off of.
Although at the same time, if they're computers that he left there and he did have time, there might not be anything too useful on it. Who knows?
All right. I think that was about everything. Check up on your guys and I will let you know.
Yeah, if we've got slashers on the loose, that's a big problem. Not just for the monsters, but for you guys too. Because slashers don't care about the Veil. They don't care about the Vigil. They don't care who knows about monsters. They'll leave those body parts anywhere.
Great. All right. I'll just keep you updated with everything.
I'll see what I can find.
All right.
Good luck, sis.
You too. Stay away from direct sunlight.
Sometimes I forget about it.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Hangs up.
And she shares that with the rest of us.
Yeah, she's gonna find the rest of the group if everyone's together.
I don't believe so, because I believe I went to bed.
Yeah.
'Cause this was late.
Yeah.
I
There
think
are
some
still
of
a
us,
couple of us that are still awake, though.
yeah, still playing cards.
So the majority of the group is in like the central living area of Nina's apartment, while Nina herself is probably asleep.
Nina and the one that Jack is playing of the twins are asleep.
Yeah, Eamon is asleep as well.
Yeah, but Eamon's asleep in the living area.
Fair enough.
Brother! I kick Eamon.
You're muted, Jack.
Yes.
Wake up.
That's how many pictures just probably just sweaters, but just
Wake the fuck
Exactly.
up. Wake
Couldn't
up.
have said it better myself.
Wake up. Got some information for you. Share the information.
Yeah.
Right.
Psychotic fan club is probably the last thing we need.
Yeah.
Psychotic Fan Club's my U2 cover band.
Why the fuck would you want to make a U2 cover band?
Because I'm a Psychotic Fan Club.
Paul genuinely laughs. He says, "Hey, they had some great albums."
What? Out of curiosity, what do I know about slashers, if anything extra?
Roll my intelligence and occult.
I thought you were going to say, "What do I know about you two?"
What do I know about U2?
The reference clearly goes over Drew's head, but he is not commenting on it.
Intelligence.
I just really appreciate that in a discussion of you two, the Englishman is the big fan, and the Irishmen are not.
I think it has more to do with the age disparity than the nationality in this situation.
One success.
You don't know a lot about slashers. They're not common knowledge among hunters because hunters don't like to admit that they too can go psychopath.
As if we weren't.
I should probably roll that, given that this is something I might have reasons to know about.
Actually, out of curiosity, William, would I have been able to add any of my Hitman profession dots to that roll?
Sure, go ahead and roll me an extra number of d10s to see if you hit
Hunting
me.
down psychopathic killers might be a...
I'm assuming dreams is not an applicable specialty.
Not quite.
I'm assuming just in character, Paul would not have any knowledge of this.
On all the dice.
So with 2 successes, both of you know that it's not infeasible for someone with the skills and talents and just aptitude to be a hunter could also be batshit crazy and just a murderous psychopath who would go after everything and anyone. You were not familiar with the term slasher until Astrid shared it with you, but you are aware that occasionally a hunter can go crazy, or just someone who has that sort of unique capacity discovers the hunt and is completely batshit about it.
William, additional information I have. Of the people I know are closest to me, I'm assuming none of the Lucifuge would match this kind of behavior, right?
No, Lucifuge, especially the 13 nearest, are almost certainly not within that capacity. In fact, the nearest of the 13 is in the next state. They're in Tennessee.
Okay. Yeah, basically just checking that this isn't someone who's gone to the hell side.
But that is a big fear, is that any individual Lucifuge turning slasher is bringing the power of the devils to just murdering anything and everyone.
Which is why.
For the reference, Gone to the Hell Side is my Black Sabbath cover band.
Right, so this would seem to be a problem, and we're gonna need to find out a way to hunt this fucker. Any suggestions?
I'll need to sleep on it, but, well, not to stereotype, but you've been pretty comfortable with your professional inclinations. Any way you could reach out bloodlust to bloodlust?
I have a few professional contacts I could possibly reach out to and see if there's anyone that's been operating outside a contract.
I was also sort of thinking, like, more if we get another message from these guys, or with the one we already got, formulating a response seems sort of, yeah.
Storyteller. with my 3 dots as a hitman. Can I think of a way to formulate a response to an unknown serial killer that would make sure they see it no matter where they're at, so long as they're in the city?
I mean, well, calling card's a calling card. And you imagine that if this slasher is hunting down random supernaturals and just killing anyone who gets in their way, the best kind of message would be somewhere around their hunting grounds.
So, yeah. If I can figure,
That'd be the best idea.
if I can figure out what, no, it's not a bad idea. If I can figure out where he's hunting, possibly.
Did Shakes mention like an area in particular?
No, not in particular.
Okay.
In the morning, actually, now's a good time as any. How would I go? I'm imagining that I can't just pick up a phone and call, but I imagine that I have I imagine that there are some dead drops or some locations somewhere in the city that I could go to try to gather information.
Theoretically, yeah.
I'm going to go do that.
All right.
Paul,
That'll take some time to
before
say.
you head out, Paul raises a finger as he's thinking. He says, "Also, I'm not sure exactly if this crew would be the reading type, but my limited understanding is a lot of folks like to read about their own exploits. So either in the local papers or online, taking out an ad nearby where they post police blotters or obituaries."
If we know what to send, I can definitely probably, as long as it's not a legitimate source, arrange that.
Oh, yeah, well,
Sure.
first,
I'm a journalist by profession.
first steps to find out if we can see if anyone in particular is hunting off book. Eamon, you want to come with me?
No, I want to fucking sleep and see if I can heal up what's left of my gunshot wound.
I healed up plenty of your gunshot wound.
Where are you going?
It'll take some time to set up either way, so.
Speaking of things to do at some point, what are we doing about the vampire in the bathroom? The one that is not
The one that we're
related to
keeping on
Aspen
ice for later.
brother. Like it's still he's still there.
You know, I'd completely fucking forgotten he was there.
We've had that one for like 3 days.
It's going to start to go bad pretty soon.
I don't mind. Just like, do they go bad?
I mean, they die when they can't get enough blood.
Like before it dies of not drinking blood.
They shrivel up, become all pruny.
Start to smell like old milk.
Yeah.
Do you want to put it out of its misery? Colleen asks.
Wait till Nina
but I
wakes
think
up
that
and
the
see what she
Satanists
thinks.
might actually get mad at me for that.
Let's wait till Nina wakes up in the morning and see what she thinks. Astrid, I'm going to go put out some feelers with some very bad people at night. It would be nice to have at least one other person watch me back.
I'll go with you.
Cool.
I think I may also go outside and look around. We were all focused, I think, on the cleanup, as well as assuming that the people even had been supernatural in nature. But maybe if it's just other hunters, maybe they were stupid and left things like fingerprints. If this is not the first time that they've killed, especially if they're killing just normal people, as well as vampires and werewolves and whatnot, it's not inconceivable that if we can get some good prints off of Nina's front yard and the sign postage where they painted their little message, that we might be able to find something in law enforcement database.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all.
I've got some kits. I can see if I can maybe pick up anything.
Who'd we lose?
Jeremy.
We lost Jeremy.
Well, shit.
Jeremy, no.
Fine. Everything's fine. You're just seeing half of us at various places. Right. So you do that. Astrid and I will go out and see what feelers I can put out, and the rest of you keep an eye, go to sleep, get some rest. Deal with the
Paul
vampire
looks
in the morning.
All looks at Sean and Astrid and says, "Just be careful. Do you want to let on where you're headed, just in case we need to come and find you?"
It's a bit of a bad practice to inform people who aren't in the trade of locations within the trade that are important. I want to get blacklisted.
All right. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
yeah,
I can respect
Uh,
that.
points at Astrid, or in the general direction of Astrid, probably missing the direct.
Hmm.
Oh, Astrid, I can blindfold.
All right,
Well,
I
then
need
just
to sleep on this.
I know where he's going. Don't worry.
Yeah, Eamon knows where I'm at.
all right. Well, be careful.
If we don't come back, we're probably dead anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I mean by be careful.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
You need to come back because the vampires know you and are welcome back, Jeremy.
Here's a fun thing.
Yeah.
If you have to close down your Google Chrome by Task Manager, it also fucking shuts down Zoom. What the actual fuck?
That's weird.
That doesn't seem like how that normally works.
No.
Zoom is not a Chrome browser.
No, it's also not a Chrome. I mean, it might be a Chrome, it might be a Google property, but it's not a Chrome accessory. Like it's.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
not
an
one of the
extension,
things
yeah.
that launches through Chrome.
Unless you're using the browser version of it and not the app. But
Though there isn't a browser version of Zoom.
is there not?
No.
Regardless.
I mean,
There's a phone version of Zoom, and there's a version where you can link your phone.
That's it.
But
That's weird.
anyway. So, well, two of you head out to see if you can set up an information gathering session. Just go ahead and roll me a wits and streetwise just to see how well that goes for you. So I don't have to try and make up the details of a hitman's profession.
Is that for both of us?
just for John.
Okay.
And I'm assuming I can add my professional dots to that.
Yes, you can add your professional training dots.
Five successes.
Yeah, you'll probably get word back in a meeting
and
place.
I'm basically, I imagine I'm setting up a dead drop for information regarding any operators in the city that are not operating on contract right now.
Yeah, people who might need to have a contract taken out on them, perhaps. Yeah, and so you the information gets done relatively quickly, and you will probably be done in about an hour, and you'll be able to head back and wait for a response.
Yeah. And I'm going to, unless I have to actually go into a private location, I'm not worrying about Astrid knowing where I'm going at, because most likely the place that I'm arranging for a dead drop is like a PO box on a corner, so like a PO box in like a corner store or something.
Yeah, it's probably one of several cycling dead drops, and you just have to keep up with what's active at the moment. So, and while that's happening, Paul, you head out to take a look at take a look at the environs outside, and while that's happening, you sort of pull out your phone and start to take a couple of pictures while also, dialing a quick phone number.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing how the other half lives and trying to find fingerprints as opposed to not leave them for a change.
Go ahead and roll me. We'll call it wits and investigation.
Fair. Can I apply a professional training in criminal?
No, because criminal and investigator are not quite the same.
No, totally fair. I just figured I'd ask.
I will say it will give you an extra die though, not the full dots, but it will give you an extra die.
I got 2 successes. Let me roll just an additional D10. I got a 3, so it doesn't do anything for me.
Okay.
So 2 successes.
2 successes. It looks like whoever did this was pretty thorough. They were probably wearing gloves when they were doing all the cutting, which makes sense on a number of levels. But It also seems like the weird thing you're noticing is that there are bits of thread and plastic and rubber that are left behind as adhesive that are left behind like on surfaces that are all burnt, which implies that either they went through and burned everything they left behind post leaving everything, or their whatever they were wearing was on fire while they were leaving stuff.
Okay. That seems like, if it's the latter, that seems like it's a fairly significant calling card. Can I roll to see if that rings any bells?
Sure. Wits and occult.
Okay.
Just to see.
0, so no.
Somebody being on fire and not caring is not a normal thing.
It's Ghost Rider.
If you have a slasher who's Ghost Rider, that's a concerning thought.
Yeah. Okay. Paul sort of takes in that evidence and says, well, that's concerning. And then we'll head off to the location that I had dialed in.
Yeah, and you step off, and your lift ride is already waiting.
Okay.
And a few moments later, you are heading away from the hideout, and about 15, 20, maybe half an hour later, you arrive at the location of the labyrinth.
Okay. I will. There was a call box on the outside. Is that right? Or no, there was a knocker.
There was a knocker, and you go through the procedure of the normal entrance, and you're let through, and you arrive into that same like very Spartan steel interior.
Okay. Who's the temple agent who's on duty?
It's not a fellow that you recognize. He's kind of bald-headed, but he's got like the heavy mutton chops that sort of meld with his mustache. So he's just got the entire lower jaw, except for the chin, is covered in facial hair.
It's a good look.
And he just kind of looks up. Oh, hey.
Good evening. And I've already checked in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Evening. Wanted to get through to acquisitions and artifacts. Had a few things to check out while I'm in the area, if I may.
All right. You'll find him probably second door on the left, storage area.
Perfect. Is that the same one we went to?
No, it's a couple doors down.
Okay. All right. I'll head to the one that was indicated.
Yep. And
give it a knock.
You knock and enter.
Paul will open the door and pop his head in, take a look at what's inside.
Inside, you see a series of locked safes and vaults, essentially. Some cases, some display cases, everything sort of locked up tight. And inside, there's a gentleman, aging fellow of sort of like very short cropped white hair, sort of lined face and this sort of hawkish nose, and he's sort of wearing very very well appointed suit as he looks over. Welcome to the acquisitions and artifacts chamber. How can I help you, sir?
Pleasure to meet you. Paul Phillips of the Scroll, chiefly of the London Labyrinth, but currently on assignment here. Pleasure to meet you. And he'll hold on his hand.
Bernard Voss, he says as he shakes your hand.
All right. Paul says, we were here earlier today. Brought in a fellow hunter of the Malleus Maleficarum. Had a fang dagger. Couldn't quite persuade him to leave it here. We did execute a contract, and he'll pull it out and hand it over and said, might want to catalog this. The Fang Dagger is to be gifted to the Aegis upon his death. So just in case I'm not here when he checks out.
We'll keep that in mind. That's a bit of leverage we don't typically get on the Maleficarum.
Well, he seems like a decent fellow and damn good with sharp, pointy things. So it seemed like it might be best used and give me the opportunity to gather a bit of field data as it's being used. Speaking of field data, when I was here earlier, I had checked in I believe it was called a bloodthirster. Would like to requisition that back. I also have a few other items in mind, and Paul will hand over a piece of paper on which he's made a couple notes with a few items, and says, if you check in with London, you might see that all of this combined might put me over my field allowance, but I do have a watchful Karis, and he pulls aside his blazer and will pull out the Karis and hold it out and said, if your office is willing to issue me a temporary authorization, I'd be willing to surrender this in exchange for the other items.
And he sort of looks at the lists. Scales and a Doru talisman.
Given what we've been up against, it seemed that might be particularly useful.
I love how James Bond this whole thing is.
A cult Q over here.
I love how much it's going to get Paul decked.
I think that we can arrange this. He sort of rolls the scroll up. And I think in exchange for recent developments and recent activity, I think we can arrange to let you keep the Karis. You've earned it, I would say.
Paul looks genuinely surprised and says, oh, well, fantastic. I appreciate it. I will say I've gotten rather fond of it.
Well, it's been, as far as I can tell, it's been permanently assigned as far as records are concerned. They don't even keep a track in the inventory anymore. The only time we try and get it back is if you died.
Well, here's to putting off that particular reclamation as long as possible. But
yes, let me go and retrieve those, he says, and he goes over to a couple of different vaults and opens them up and pulls a thing out, closes it, walks over to another vault a little bit down the way, opens it up, pulls something out, closes it, and returns with a small medallion that has the circled spears and the scale.
Perfect. And I think because Paul's already wearing...
Oh, yes, and then he flips up another lockbox, pulls out the blood letter, and extends it to you.
Paul will take the Doru and actually loop it around his wrist, sort of up above his sleeve, so that it hangs like a bracelet, like a charm bracelet. And then we'll take the. Is it a bloodthirster or a blood letter?
Sorry, bloodthirster. Yes.
Oh no, I just want to, because it's with me. It's always entirely possible that I'm totally forgetting what something is called. So, all right. So he takes the bloodthirster. And it didn't have a sheath, right? It was just...
No, it was just a dagger.
Okay. He says, you wouldn't have something that would roughly fit this, would you? I like to have it falling out as we're running around.
We don't typically... Actually, I think I might have a spare sheath from another one that was brought in with, oddly, a sheath that didn't fit. Hang on, let me see if it actually works. And he kind of heads to a different vault and opens it up and pulls something out, pulls the sheet that was off of it, and kind of walks over and kind of examines the bloodthirster for a second. Well, give thanks to German design, he says as he slides the sheath onto it.
Normally a sentiment I would share. A little bit hesitant to praise this thing at all, but I appreciate it.
Okay.
Precision German engineering.
Craig, you're really quiet, by the way.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Hello. And so he will take it, and if I can, William, I'm going to try to strap it to my calf.
Yeah, you can probably easily do that.
Okay. Okay. And then he'll say, sign the requisite forms and say, all right, Mr. Voss, it's been a pleasure. And I will be certain to bring back anything else of interest that I find.
Of course. do let us know if you find anything interesting.
Always. That's what the scroll's here for, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And he'll smile and shake hands again, and then head back out.
You head back, and the two groups probably arrive back at the hideout at roughly the same time.
Okay.
Paul probably arrives just like 5-10 minutes earlier.
Sure.
Do I have a time for when the dead drop will be?
You haven't gotten a response yet, but you suspect that it'll be delivered to your church because that's your known operating location.
Okay, that works.
And you probably expect a response within the next day or two.
Yeah, I'll check back with the church basically on a daily basis.
Yep.
Alright,
And
well.
so Paul, you walk in, and everyone is either still passed out or just milling about, and you kind of look around for a minute and just kind of pull the watchful Karis out and look at it for a second, and sort of musing on it, and you sort of set it on the table next to you, and as you're looking around, something catches your attention, and you turn and you look out the window.
Oh boy.
And as you're looking, you see the faintest flash in the distance, not like a not like a gun muzzle flash, but like a faint like strobe light that seems to indicate something odd, and it's on a rooftop nearby. It almost looks like a signal to something or someone. But the somewhat more concerning event, however, happens immediately afterward and is right over your shoulder. As you're as you're sort of looking out the window, Colleen steps up to the table behind you and sort of looks down, kind of looks at the knife for a second, and kind of looks down at it. Paul, is this yours? She says as she reaches down and kind of picks up the knife.
Paul turns around and says, "Oh, well, it's shall we say on long-term loan. Have you seen one before?"
No, I haven't. It's kind of, and she turns it and looks at it for a second, and her hair begins to stand on end, and she kind of gets this very surprised look on her face. And there is this growing sensation of ozone in the room. And
That's not a good smell.
sort of
slowly standing up as this is happening.
bluish, sort of like bluish lines, almost like arcane tracings, begin to run along the back of her palm from the hand that is holding the Karis, and sort of stretch along her forearm and trace a pattern. And she kind of like grips that arm with her left hand as if it's in pain, and she kind of leans forward for a second with this sort of look of extreme exertion and this clenched teeth expression. And there's a flash of white, and when it leaves, the knife is gone, and there's just these glowing blue lines on her forearm that slowly begin to dim and just leave what looks like a series of black lines, almost like tattoos, in their place. Ah!
Paul opens his mouth, closes it, opens his mouth again, and says, "Are you all right? Has that ever happened before?"
No, she says as she looks like she's still very much in
This
pain.
is all in the living room of the apartment, right?
Yes.
Paul's gonna sort of
I tried to
usher
get
her
I'd
into
be
the
awake
chair
at
that
this
he's
point,
sitting in.
right?
Sorry, a couple people were talking at once. What was that, Aaron?
I'm assuming even if I was starting to sleep, I'd be awake by this, right?
Probably yes.
Would it be
Okay,
loud
so
enough?
I'll throw through a few courtesy knocks on a few courtesy knocks on Nina's door in case she didn't
Yeah.
hear
Was
this.
it loud enough to wake me up?
Her yell probably was.
Okay.
I've got.
So the door, you go to knock, and the door gets thrown open, and there's a I would say dressed would be a generous description. Holding a shotgun.
And what did you say, Craig?
I was saying Paul's going to try to sort of ease her down into the chair he was sitting in.
Yeah, and you sort of like gently shift her towards the chair, and she sort of sits down and is still clutching her right arm.
It's good that Nina's got her shotgun out because my Thunder 5 is also out, and the hammer is pulled back, and I'm just holding it ready in case I need to shoot Colleen.
Paul says, "I'll get some ice," and he runs to the fridge.
What
Nah,
the
sausages and potatoes be fine.
What the shit just happened?
Very same question I was about to voice.
Cult roll.
Colleen sort of ate my knife. I'm gonna have so much bloody paperwork. Ice. And he goes.
Yes, you can roll me a cult roll.
like a bag of frozen peas or whatever Nina has that's cold.
All right.
I'm letting Aaron roll before I respond to that.
Thank you. One.
Oh,
For the record on this roll, I have 8 dice.
Like,
yeah, I
look
saw.
at all
Jeez.
of those not 8s.
Oh, that's saddening.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, the closest thing you can surmise, and you have no idea about it, but it looks like she just absorbed the knife. I don't know.
Okay.
And it doesn't look like it was. It doesn't look like it was a fun experience.
Eamon's
Oh.
having dreams about thunderstorms.
Paul, before you go off to explain 8 the knife.
Now hold on, she's in some pain.
I mean,
And
I'm
the fridge
sure
is in the same room, right? Like I'm not leaving the room.
Right. No, that's fine. Nobody's moving until I understand what 8 the knife in my apartment means.
Are you pointing the gun at Paul?
No, not at the
Okay.
moment.
All right. Paul is coming back with frozen peas. And as he's coming back, he says, she picked up my Karis. There was a little light show on her arm. Is that fair to say, Colleen?
Yeah, I think.
Back
and then
up.
She kind of
What's
looks at the.
Karis?
It's a watchful Karis. It's the knife that I've been carrying, the one I tried to use on our friend from the upstairs window.
Magic. It's magic.
Right. Okay.
Right. It's a relic. Yes.
It is a magical artifact with powers.
It has arcane
later.
significance. Let's not go too far.
It's a magical item. We get it. Move on.
fucking magic knife.
Okay,
Speaking
so
of magic knives,
Fine.
she grabbed your magic
everyone-
knife. And
With the air of someone surrounded by pedants, Paul says, "Fine, it's a magic knife."
so you took your magic knife. When we say 8,
More sort of absorbed, destroyed. I'm not exactly sure.
It went in her
The
fucking
knife-
hand.
The knife isn't here anymore. Colleen's got new tattoos.
well,
And the light sort of, and he turns back to Colleen and says, sort of went into your hand, correct?
Something like that. She says, sort of turning her hand over and sort of inspecting the tattoos on both sides.
Paul pushes the frozen peas into
well, wait.
into her
So
palm.
first, what did that relic that you had do? What did the knife functionally do?
It helps someone avoid being surprised. If someone comes upon me when I have it with and comes upon me with malicious intent, the knife would appear in my hand and make it easier to defend myself.
Okay, so
it's-
that's not
it's
what
also
you can
quite-
really have Colleen test
Right.
unless someone has like.
oh,
murder
I see what you're
contact.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It would follow logically. I
be
actually
fair-
do have a fair amount of experience with this kind, not specifically this, but I have read a lot of ancient texts
Right.
and
Paul says, and I've
magical
tested
theory.
a lot of, and he sighs and says, magical knives. There are, in fact, quantifiable tests that you can perform, specifically with Keresis, because there are, as you can imagine, far more Keresis.
I approach Colleen with my gun and put it to
So,
her head.
get a sentence out.
And she's not looking at you for a minute, and as you bring the gun towards her head, her hand immediately sort of shoots out and grabs the barrel.
Whoa!
Does a knife come out?
Whoa.
No.
Thanks, John. That was actually what I was looking for.
Paul points and says, "Yep, that's it." But and he says, although to be fair, if it was actually the watchful Karis, the knife it would be in your throat. So, and he just sort of shrugs and leaves that.
Well, it's not. It's Colleen. Colleen is magical to a degree, and given what we know about what Colleen can do, or theoretically is meant to do, it does follow that she has the capability to. I don't suggest we test this again.
That's fine, because she doesn't get to absorb my magic knife. This one's mine.
Well, you were asleep, Eamon.
Wait.
Well, you fuckers keep having loud conversations, and even I'm not entirely immune to your... Anyway, no offense to you, Colleen, but I want to keep this one.
Wait. First of all, actually, that was going to be my suggestion: is keep all potential magic things away. But when did that become your magic knife?
I've had this one since we blew up the werewolves. I found it. It's mine.
And Paul again kind of raises a hand and says, technically, he sort of has a life estate in it at this point.
Of course.
Well,
did you make a fucking bargain with that goddamn knife, Eamon?
I made a bargain about the knife, not with the knife. Yep. I mean, the knife's involved, but
if the knife is the knife collateral for something.
No, it was just a very generous offer and a donation. Something that an academic institution such as the Aegis Kaidoru appreciate in our pursuit of knowledge.
I'm sure
Thanks
Jim
again for
Cross
that,
is going to absolutely love you guys bargaining with.
I made a diplomatic overture to some individuals who stand to benefit, and they were kind enough to provide some counsel, knowledge, and advice in return.
Paul will make a stately bow in response.
Paul and I went on a field trip.
What?
Well, so long as you didn't bargain with it for some sort of weird, fucked up magic, I don't give a shit.
Oh, geez. None of my magic, really.
Regardless.
Yeah. Nina, in answer to your perplexed, confused gaze, yes, Paul and I went on a field trip to talk to some of his old friends, and they gave us some information on the gun, the knife, and this thing. And now we're back.
What's the damage on a thrown shotgun?
Like a bashing if you manage to hit with it.
Because there's a shotgun. There is the butt of a shotgun flying at Paul's head right now.
All right, I'm going to try to dodge it.
What's your defense, Paul?
Now hold on. Considering at this point, all that Nina knows is that we went to find out information about it.
Yes,
perhaps extreme.
It was explicitly said, we're having a conversation before you take those things to anyone.
Yeah, that was said. That wasn't agreed upon.
Nina is a very extreme person.
Nina has thrown a thing at you. Stop out of character arguing.
Okay.
Now hold on, because we have out of character discussions that last for like 15 minutes about wrestling. So I think I'm allowed to make one statement.
So, Dex, weaponry.
Yeah, Dex weaponry. I'm going to oppose an additional -1 because you're trying to throw a thing that's not meant to be thrown.
Okay. Would the amount of sleep I've gotten given me a willpower point back yet?
Probably, yeah.
I'm spending my 1 willpower. So, okay, your defense is 3, so -3, -4 damage. Because that's going to be the bonus.
Yeah.
+1. What's the plus on
The damage is +1.
+1. So I have 4 dice to roll. Attack roll. We'll just do this really quick. Thrown 1, and I am so crap. Oh, it's athletics, not weaponry. Okay.
Yeah, throwing things is athletics. That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
Throwing things is generally.
Well, that's going to be less effective. That's fine. So it's minus.
So you're at a flat -1 with the willpower spent.
I wanted to wait until it was perfectly quiet to do that.
So that's a miss. That's fine. It wasn't the point. Wasn't to hit. The point.
Yeah, the shotgun flies out and he doesn't have the carrot. He doesn't have the Karis anymore. But
No.
Paul ducks.
Does it pull out a window?
No, it just clatters in the wall.
Damn.
It's just like a really quick flip up like this and like throw. This is probably why it missed because it's a terrible way to throw a shotgun. Like throw it butt first javelin style at his head.
I think also Paul was still in the middle.
There is no good way to throw a shotgun. Right about now, Eamon is, as soon as that thing leaves her hand,
them
Eamon
into
is
Nina's
ducking
room
for cover.
so we can have a calm half of the group.
Hang on. I have to roll a d10 real quick because you threw a shotgun butt first.
It should be noted the shotgun is not loaded.
Okay, that was what I had to roll for, but it wasn't loaded. So
Who the fuck would walk out of a room half awake with a bunch of people she doesn't trust with a loaded shotgun?
Nina.
A hunter.
Nina Sky specifically would.
Nope.
No.
She's smart.
Actually, yeah, I totally
But
buy
most members of your faction.
Would.
No, not Nina, but a hunter, especially a hunter of the Union.
Yeah.
I think Paul's
I
in the
have a
middle of
loaded shotgun pointed at this girl's head still, by the way.
Her hand is still on that barrel, by the way.
I know. We haven't moved because Sean's perfectly calm and has trigger discipline.
Yep.
Unlike other
Yep.
people in the room.
Hey, I didn't pull the trigger, did I?
Aaron, what were you saying?
I guess this changes slightly by the. Oh yeah, Sean's still there. I'm gonna try and shepherd Sean, Astrid, and Colleen into the bedroom so that things can explode out here and the calm people can be in a different space.
Can I come?
No, you're the one being exploded on right now.
I'm not explaining this out of character. I'm just trying to.
I look over at Colleen, and I use my thumb to lower the hammer back in place. Would you mind letting go, love?
She kind of has to look at her hand for a second and focus and let go.
I pull it away. I don't put it away. I just pull it away. Let's adjourn somewhere else so the children can argue. I will go with Astrid and Colleen and Drew into a different room.
I think that it might be best for them to have the magical artifacts breach of trust conversation, and then we have the
absolutely
hand magic conversation.
Absolutely in agreement with you.
Okay.
Meanwhile, in the room with Paul, Eamon, and Nina.
There's no yelling. It's just immediately after it thunk and lands on the ground somewhere.
Paul looks at the shotgun, looks back over at Nina, and shrugs and says, "And here I was thinking that you were the only one of them who was actually acting professional." And he heads for the stairs.
Whoa. Hold up just a moment here.
He's not stopping.
Are you following after him, or?
No.
All right. Yeah, he's going to leave and go back to his hotel.
Okay. You catch a ride to your hotel.
Eamon's going to go over and pick up the shotgun and check to see that it's unloaded.
Yep.
You open the breech, and yeah, both barrels are empty.
She's like, I wasn't trying to kill anybody. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you people? You're muted.
If you just said anything, it didn't come through.
And I say this, I mean, it might be a bit of an understatement, but granted, we've spent less than a week in each other's company altogether. I feel like there's quite a bit of hair trigger running around here, and I'm not simply talking about my brother's sniping abilities.
You're not wrong.
And I understand we're all in a level of tension and that sort of thing. And yeah, that was about it.
Look, I went into this whole thing with, as I'm going to be honest, as much trust as I can muster for most of your fine people who are parts of organizations that I inherently have issue with, not because of the specifics of those organizations, but because organizations are by their very nature corrupt. I made a statement about not necessarily trusting taking things back to our individual things. I certainly haven't. I haven't taken the information that we've gathered as a group, some of which would be very valuable to some of the more militant members of the union, and gone back and said, oh, by the way, here's this, this, and this, because I don't think we know enough at this point to sick the entirety of the hunter community on this with multiple different agendas and so on and so forth. I went into when we found those things, I said, we need to have a conversation before it. I made the mistake of assuming that my opinion would be important in that. I am angry that it wasn't, but based on that, I know how far I can trust Paul. And I'm angry about that.
No, that's fair. Understand your perspective on that, for sure.
So I threw a shotgun at him. I threw an unloaded, heavy, blunt object at him. If he wants to be a child and go home over it, he's perfectly welcome to. If I'm asleep when he wakes up, he doesn't get to come in that door because he's going to talk to me before he does. I'm going back to bed.
All right.
And she walks back in. Oh, she walks over, grabs the shotgun, goes back to her room.
Her room is currently occupied.
Opens the door. Well, look, if we're gonna have a party, you're all gonna have to get a lot less dressed.
Oh, I don't mind that, but you might want to hear some more information
Do
before
we
you go to
want
sleep.
to have the Colleen armed conversation, or are you conversation?
I don't. You. No, I'm good. Just. I mean, what do we do about it?
Don't feel bad about it. Paul's a con artist. We know what he wants.
That's between me and Paul. I'm not. Anyways, Colleen.
Yeah.
Magic item absorption.
Yeah.
From your reaction, I'm assuming that wasn't expected.
No, but to be fair, I've never actually come into contact with any like explicitly magical items before.
So
they were all pretty much kept away from me.
So let's keep the +1 weapons away from the God Machine.
I understood that reference.
And I think we'll be good.
I mean,
I've got.
it creates an interesting element to the objectives of the colonel and other forces interested in Colleen's abilities, but that's fine.
I've got a little bit of a. I don't know how to explain it, but something of an understanding of it now. It was a surprise the first time, and I'd never experienced it, so I couldn't really do anything about it. But I think, and I'm not saying test this right now, but I think I should be able to not do it involuntarily from now on.
If certain things have caused issues and we need to deal with the Aegis, that is a terrifying thing to them.
Are you able to spit it back out?
I don't know about that one. That takes some. I may have to do some meditation on that.
Might want to figure that part out. But regardless of that, Nina.
I have a. It's not quite the same, but a test. I'll sort of beckon my dog over. He'll sit down, tail wagging.
Wait.
And you absorb a hellhound.
Oh no!
Probably not. I'm more
Oh no!
the magical elements will interact. It's fine.
She kind of like looks at the dog and
She's
like
pet
very
my dog before.
yeah, like very very gingerly just kind of reaches out and scratches Crowley behind the ears and just kind of with the tattooed hands and doesn't seem to do anything in particular.
Does Crowley sense or feel anything from that? To my knowledge,
not anything of note. Not anything more than was already there.
Yeah.
I should say.
Okay, that's fine. I was curious.
So,
Damn, if you could absorb his stealth abilities, that would have been really convenient.
that aside, Nina, we have a bit more information about who may have left our little present outside.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Potentially a slasher, which is apparently psychopath, bloodthirsty, serial killer, whatever, what have you, with magic powers.
Specifically, a
With 3 successes, what do I know?
You know the term slasher is a catch-all term for psychopath hunters.
Okay.
And you know that sometimes those hunters get the equivalent of endowments, whether they sort of like the larger organizations have. And they tend to be unique. Slashers usually find their own ways of doing things. Sometimes they'll cannibalize stuff from an organization, but usually they're the psychos that no organization wants because they're too far off the deep end even for hunters.
Fair enough. Sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
specifically, we're thinking someone potentially unaffiliated who might have obsessive desire to belong to a group leaving presence.
Makes sense.
Went out and put out some feelers. Hopefully we'll get something back tomorrow or the next day.
Okay, who'd we put out feelers to?
Oh, I just went out and talked to some like-minded individuals who do contract work in the city.
Specifically just hitmen or hunter hitmen?
Nah, my folks, not that.
Okay.
Now, I don't suspect the Malleus would have much information on that, considering that my brother and I are the two primary operatives in this.
Yeah.
Hey,
We should
yeah.
I mean we should check with hunters because if these are slashers, they probably started out somewhere, or one of the factions may have information. So it's still worth
Might
going.
not be the
Yeah.
might not be the first time reached out. Yeah, I'm not gonna pry into anyone's how they contact their, but I know that there aren't any other Lucifuge in the city. I can probably ask if any delusional wannabe Lucifuge might be around, if others could do an equivalent. That would probably be a good place to start.
All right, we can send out a call to Brother Seamus in the morning.
I also, if I can get some sleep before the next disastrous thing, I can possibly help more.
Fair. No. And it's still, I still want to go talk to Ashwood Abbey, the Ashwood Abbey people, because, well, if anything's close to an organized slasher convention, it would be them. And so they may have information.
Jeremy, I don't remember. Did you share some or any of what we got from the changelings about this with Drew or anyone else, or
I
no?
don't remember, to be honest.
Astrid also got the information.
Yeah,
The
I don't remember
changelings.
what we exactly what we learned, other than that it was thrill killy kind of.
Mhm.
There was I remember vague inclinations of things that definitely led me to believe it was Ashwood, but apparently are. I will. The Shakes definitely gave some details that made me suspect that this is a little crazy, little bit over the bend style hunters. Yeah.
Well, we have people to ask in the morning.
Yes, we do. We absolutely do. Everybody who's getting out, get out. Everybody who's staying in, stay in. But the door's
I'll stay
closing in
where I
about
am.
2 minutes.
I'm probably just on in the floor on a corner, in a corner on the floor. I don't know.
Astrid's gonna jump on the couch before Raymond can get back on there.
You guys were in that bedroom for how long?
Oh,
do you
dang
think he's already he's stacked out and snoring?
I go
again.
back to my window perch.
It's a wide enough couch. I'm sure there's room, or you could just kick him off. He wouldn't really.
I'll also put Crowley in front of the door, so there will be a fluffy doormat for the intruders to trip over.
When Crowley heads down to the front door, he notices that the Luger that you guys found is sitting on a table in the main room of the warehouse area.
He will pick that up in his teeth very carefully and bring it back to probably Amond, and just put it down next to Amond on the bed, on the couch.
That's a good dog.
And then go curl up in front of the apartment has a separate door, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, curl up in front of the apartment door.
Mm-hmm. And so you guys, Paul, what are you up to over the course of the evening, if anything?
I think Paul will make another call back to the labyrinth, honestly, because I'm embarrassed I didn't do it when I was there before, because I just forgot I meant to. And we'll ask if they've had any reports of hunters going rogue or, slaying without any concern to protecting mortal people.
They haven't heard anything yet, but at the moment their eyes and ears have been sort of tied up recently, because mage activity's been on the rise, and where mage activity is on the rise, usually there's artifacts. And they've been a little tied up in that regard.
Okay. And then we'll just call, say, I assume at this point of the evening, say good morning to his wife and kids, and then go to sleep.
Yep. Okay.
William, I'm gonna do my infernal visions thing, see what Jonah knows, or if Jonah might have seen.
Yeah, while I pull that up to make sure I remind myself exactly how it works, go ahead and make the roll for me.
I think that the Hunter the Vigil thing will.
Oh, do I need to make?
Wait, no, that's yeah. You need to make a determination, and also it's not in my sheet properly. I'll copy paste it in the chat.
Infernal
I
Visions.
need to fix the formatting on that. Sorry. Wits, composure, and whatever modifiers you feel are appropriate.
Right. I need to make this roll. Okay.
Yeah.
So wits and composure. Da-da-da. Oh, nice die pool. Okay. Bah!
Sounds like my luck is my luck. Yeah.
Okay. Mm. Yeah. Okay. So as you dream over the course of the evening, you your eyes, you sort of have this out of body experience as you as your dream, as you feel yourself walk down a tunnel, down the length of time that exists between you and Jonah. And as you walk that path, you find yourself standing in a street, an abandoned alleyway. As you watch over Jonah's shoulder, as he looks at the dismembered piles of bodies that had been left here, strewn about, as if to leave a message, perhaps. And as he looks around and just kind of raises a hand as a ball of flame emerges on his palm, and he throws it at some of the bodies as they begin to ignite. Best to dispose of these, he says, as he sort of begins to get rid of the remaining bodies. And then as you watch over his shoulder, you hear the sound of heels clicking stone behind you, and you see him turn, and you get a glimpse of his eyes as before your perspective shifts to back over his shoulder. And you see a woman with long shoulder length, sort of chin length blonde hair, with a ponytail that sort of rests behind, wearing a sheer cut, a very close form fitting and revealing red dress, almost something you would expect to see at like a ball. Walking with an almost girlish sachet as she kind of bounces between her steps. And in her right hand, she has what looks to be a classic shaving razor, like almost like the Sweeney Todd silver razor in her right hand. As she looks with this almost amused expression on her face. What? Don't you like my work of art? I think it's beautiful, she says as she looks at Jonah, and he turns, and this is a threat to the Vigil, and I cannot allow it to continue. I need to sneeze. Thank you.
Bless you.
I like how you creatively thanked us for buzzing you.
Instinctively.
The razor woman says Gesundheit.
Oh, but see, if you get rid of the bodies like that, no one gets to see my art. And I think that's just a shame. So I think I need to stop you from doing that again. And she kind of brings the razor up and, still standing several dozen feet away, brings it down, and there's the rippling of air
Tell me she says Getsuga Tensho.
as the displaced air from the almost supersonic swing of her arm seems to lash out like a slash toward Jonah, who ducks to the side as it digs a furrow in the ground past where he was standing and splatters blood off to the side wherever it interacts with any of the trails of blood. And he kind of looks back as it crosses the street and leaves a deep gash in the street and doesn't stop until it hits the wall opposite in the other alleyway.
You see, supporting characters, this is why you don't explain beforehand. You beat them unconscious and then you explain to no one in particular because the camera is still going to hear it.
Not the camera. I'm linked to. Yeah.
And he looks back around and brings his hand up, and you see that ball of flame form in his palm again. But that's where your vision stops, and your dreams are otherwise. You are otherwise completely dreamless sleep.
Yep. Right. Presumably, I wake up in the morning.
No.
Funnily enough, no, you don't.
Do I have any werewolfy dreams?
Your dreams are actually you find yourself in an expansive black, almost like a starscape with no ground, as you seem to be standing in the empty space. You can see stars all around, above, below, around to the left, to the right, everywhere. You see sort of like the endless expanse of the sky.
I expected heaven to be a little less shite than this.
As you look around, you hear the crackling of flame.
Oh, that explains it.
And
you should have taken a right at Albuquerque.
God damn it!
Always a right.
There's an orange glow that begins to rise up, and out of the corner of your eye, you turn and you find yourself face to face with a humanoid shape composed entirely of flame. And it looks at you, and it tilts its head. You, bringer of war, do you seek to wield my spirit in glorious combat?
Aye, that's about the size of it.
Yup.
A yes and a please.
You are not of Gaia's children, but you know the essence of war. My cost will be steeper than it would for her children, but you can pay it. It will be more difficult to call my essence forth than it would be for them.
Waiting for Eamon to go cash or credit.
I'll pay what the price is.
The price will be pain and effort. The wounds you inflict with me will dig deeper than any weapon. But the cost, like a double-edged sword, it shall cut both ways. And it shall drain you of the will to fight. Keep your reserves full.
Understood. And
Then
what do I call you?
I don't have a name. I am merely a spirit of war.
Tim.
They call me Tim.
I will find one for you as time goes on.
I will see where you lead. Perhaps you will die and I will pass on to another warrior, or back to the sons of Gaia. Or perhaps I will lead you to glory as you lead me to battle. Only time will tell.
Can't wait for Eamon to die and a werewolf to pick it up. Just Kaidoru have to try to collect on that.
My strength is yours whenever you wish to pay the price. And that's the end of your dreams for the night. Mechanically speaking, you can spend a willpower and take a point of lethal damage or point of aggravated damage.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do, it will double the damage you deal on any individual attack. You can choose after you make the attack roll.
Okay.
And the damage will be aggravated rather than lethal.
Cool.
And when Drew and Eamon wake up, it's 60 years later.
Yeah.
Where have you been this whole time?
I was asleep on the motherfucking couch.
Ina has like a jackhammer for an arm now.
And a machine gun for a leg.
Yes, absolutely machine gun for leg, because machine gun is best leg.
Paul is just the eye at this point.
It's an eye in a glass.
And yet we're still arguing about that time 60
That
years.
goddamn
He just binks angrily against the side of the jar.
It's just communicating Morse code against the jar.
Exactly.
All right, so
Taps out, we have a contract to Eamon.
So you all wake up in the morning.
Yep.
Theoretically.
I hope so.
Yep.
All right. I'm not awake enough. I go to get booze.
All right. So, this fine, lovely day.
I'm raising this again. What are we doing with the vampire in the bathroom?
Nina.
Right.
Oh shit, there's a vampire in the bathroom.
Yes, we were waiting for you to wake up and then forgot to ask when you woke up last
I know
night.
you said you're a vampire, but we should probably not just leave that forever.
No, let's not leave a vampire in my bathroom forever. I have to use the bathroom in a few minutes, and that's just creepy.
I open the bathroom and lean in. Ah, he's ripe.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
also difficult to take a piss when there's a vampire.
I wasn't going to say anything because all of the vampire hunters. But yes, it's really creepy.
Ah, he's ripe.
His eyes stay open, so he just stares at you.
I know, it's kind of fun. You mount him up on the wall.
Not when you're peeing.
Oh, absolutely. You mount him up on the wall. You mount him up on the wall. You draw a silly thing on his face. And it's entertainment. Maybe use him as a dartboard.
Can I just light him on fire?
What?
Do we have
Do not light a vampire on fire in my bathroom.
Do we have...
If
It's fine.
Yeah,
It's,
we need
it's hellfire. You would
drag
love
him
it.
down in, drag him down into, if we need to get rid of him, drag him down into the
warehouse.
the warehouse portion.
What is now the corpse disposal
the
shed?
studio? Drag him down into the studio. I like having a lot of light when I'm recording, and just like a previous conversation we had with somebody, it's really hard to get out of sealed recording studios.
Yeah. All right. So if we were going to do that, why have we just not done that for several days?
Because I
thought-
forgot he existed.
Because half of us forgot he was here.
I think we were going to question him about like the colonel, but
I
we've
will-
already.
Pick up a vampire
I will help drag the vampire out into the sun.
and put him in a recording studio. He's still staked, so
Unwrap him.
presumably he will fire.
I mean, Jack, you're more familiar with vampire than I am, but I don't think they can deal with the stake even if they are exposed to sunlight.
Nope.
I think they just die.
They just die. Yeah, no, the stake doesn't keep them alive in the sunlight. They just
I'll stay there just in case because I can cast Firebolt. But
Put
The
him in
one
sun.
risk with fire is there is a chance that the stake burns away before.
no, I am going to wait and let the sunlight do it. And if for some reason this is a vampire that becomes more powerful in the sun, that's not a thing.
No, it's
I
not.
don't. Drew does not know that though.
Have you ever
Yeah,
seen
there's a reason
those
the Camarilla-
Kryptonian vampires are a real bitch.
Yeah, Kryptonian.
So while
Holy shit.
I'm unwrapping the vampire, I will give you a warning, Drew. If you've never seen a vampire turn to ash, it is kind of unsettling your first time. You don't have to watch.
I am a creature of hell.
I mean, so am I technically, but it's still unsettling to watch the first time.
An
No,
intercom
literally.
buzzes from upstairs. So am I.
No, well, yes, you have made your allegiances very clear.
Metaphorically.
Doesn't change anything.
Yes, I will unwrap him and watch and make sure that he burns.
Yeah, it's kind of the equivalent of, you can throw somebody into a vat of molten steel, or you can paralyze them and then throw them into a vat of molten steel.
Like, there's a reason why why everybody says when the Camarilla catches you, they're going to stake you and leave you out for the sun.
Yep.
Yeah.
And somebody comes by later and it's like, why are there these sticks on the ground?
We can take the stake back once the vampire's dead, William. I
Oh,
assume
hey,
the vampire dies.
that's my stake.
Not a Kryptonian vampire.
No, I said as you open the curtains for the sun, the body immediately there is this rapid.
I do stare him in the eyes as he burns.
I think the best way I can describe it is he Thanos's. His body just kind of rapidly flakes away into ash that just begins to disperse across the ground.
Too soon, William. Too soon.
Mr. Stark, I don't think this vampire feels so good.
My God.
He's from New York, Jack.
I'm Irish. Fuck you.
Why has DC never done Kryptonian vampires, by the way?
I feel like if they did vampires, it would be more of a. Oh, jeez, what are Starfire's people called?
Tamaranian.
It would be more of a Tamaranian or one of the many sun-powered races that aren't Kryptonians. The thing is, they have a very specific
That's true.
bulb of what Kryptonians are allowed to be and do.
There's only so many of them left. And
There's
you can
also only
still-
so many of them left. And if there was a single vampire in Kandor, Kandor's done for.
I
Because
mean,
it's made of like
spoiler
people
alert.
with no survival instinct.
spoiler alert, Kandor's already done for.
Yes, I know. It dies every 3 months or so. It's like, it's kind of something you can set your watch by, like Jean Grey's death.
Gene died, must be Tuesday.
Yes, I'm well aware that Kandor isn't around currently.
Anyway.
Anyway,
Not a spoiler if it's always happening.
So
Anyway,
we make sure he's gone.
yeah. His body turns into a pile of ash quite rapidly.
And then I get a little I reach around to the back of my belt and pull out a little hand broom and dustpan and just take it outside, dump it in the grass.
That's
You're
bad
supposed to
fertilizer.
You're supposed to save that for the rutabagas.
It'll be fine.
Vampire ash is bad fertilizer, unlike most other forms of ash.
It'll be fine.
I know, that's why we save it for the rutabagas, because we need to kill those motherfuckers.
So, Paul, what are you up to when you get up?
Paul's gonna go have a nice continental breakfast downstairs at the hotel. And then I think go back up to his room, lie down on the bed, put the one-handed jack or one-handed king over his eye, and tune into the one that he left in the chair by the window back in Nina's apartment. Start eavesdropping.
Nice.
I believe it's currently, if this is sufficiently long enough after we've killed the vampire, it's currently under my ass.
Yeah, I want to clarify. Night Kings, it's a sort of general area awareness.
Yeah.
I just like the idea that you're stuck in the cushion looking at my ass the entire time.
So you place the you place the one-eyed king over your eye. And the first perspective that you get, because I like the idea that it starts from the perspective of the coin and then pans out.
It's just full-on Sean ass.
Extreme wide close-up on jeans.
Yeah, it's just a close-up of
slacks. Thank you very much. I'm a preacher.
Yeah, it's just a close-up of black slacks. And then
so much Eddie Bauer.
and then the view begins to pan outward as it sort of does that sort of like,
my God, it's full of duckers.
as it just does the sort of the zooming out spinning shot to get like a full environmental view.
Yeah.
And the you get the sunset, you get the view of what is going on in the apartment, which is what is happening in the apartment right now after you guys finish.
So we've got ourselves an old Nazi vampire that's done a runner and gone to ground.
Yeah.
We've got ourselves a fucked up, crazy, psychopathic monster hunter who thinks he can just, they, whoever can just murder their shite all over the town and apparently use it as Tinder for Nina.
Yep.
And what are we going to do about those?
And an extra order of pepperonis, thank you. Click. Sorry, what were you talking about?
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
I just ordered a pizza.
I'm probably eating the leftover Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna. I definitely plan to. I believe we got contacts for people. William, correct me if I'm wrong. Contacts for where to approach Ashwood Abbey people.
You definitely got a location.
Yeah.
Of where they typically.
I plan to go out and talk to the crazy thrill kill fuck the bad things trophy hunters.
They kill and then fuck the bad things.
Sometimes they fucking kill, sometimes they kill and fuck, sometimes they just eat. They're like it's like if you took the British royal family, gene spliced them with Wes Craven's Hills Have Eyes people.
So it's like the British royal family in Fallen.
Yes,
London.
exactly.
Okay.
Damn it, don't ruin my joke. You're not there.
You hear a muffled voice under Sean's act.
Fuck over there. The chair's talking to me.
But yes, that is the punchline.
In spirit of communication and the like and whatnot, pulls out the fang dagger and just kind of slams it on the table. This is my magic knife.
Okay.
There are not many like it, and this one is mine.
Yeah.
There's a wee fella in there who doesn't have a name, and he's made of fire, and he wants me to murder him.
I'm immediately looking over at Drew for Drew's reaction.
Can I make an occult roll on that information specifically?
Sure.
He can help me murder things really fucking good, apparently, but it's going to hurt me in order to do that. So I've got a bit of a risk benefit cost assessment thing there as time goes on. And after I die, Paul's allowed to take this to the Aegis library and they can stick it in their filing cabinet.
Stick it in their filing cabinet sounds like something I told that auditor one time.
I mean, it might just be the vague way that he's describing it, but that sounds pretty demonic to you.
As long as you're in control and are not giving devils.
No, he's not really more of a devil. He said he was a war spirit or something like that.
Yeah, they have different names. for-
Yeah, I was gonna say,
This one specifically does not have a name.
Well, they have different designations. It's all
that's how
from my
demons fly.
perspective, it's all hell beasts and
The adversary has many things that he calls himself, brother. You know this.
Why? But he always calls himself something because he's a shisty, snobby fucker who wants, bits of recognition and lots of ceremony and shite. This guy was more of a just a, stabby.
Sure, but his underlings. I'm just
probably
saying.
a demon.
I'll be cautious.
Yeah.
As long as you're like, did you think I was gonna have it? Hey, Crowley, roll over.
Crowley rolls over.
I just used a demon to do a thing. I don't have any problem with that. And it was a trivial thing.
We're just saying, be careful,
Right.
etc. Says the
Still
girl, and
actually
heaven
need
doesn't want me, and hell is
further
afraid I will take over tank
that.
top.
I do love that that Eamon is more cautious with changelings than he is with the war spirit.
With the thing that looks like a demon.
Yeah.
Just looking like a wee fella that was on fire. That's all.
Crowley found a gun or
Oh, let me have a look at that.
yeah.
What? This one? Here. They said it was worth a lot of money, but nothing particularly special.
Do I
It's
think
a Luger.
Is it? It's just a really old Luger.
It's a World War II Luger in perfect condition. It's worth a ton of money,
Oh yeah.
but it's nothing.
also
But it's nothing magic.
Surprised if it has some emotional value to the colonel.
Oh yeah.
To
We
be
could
clear,
also
just
sell
for-
this.
To be clear, just for again my clarification, because this is a few weeks ago in my memory and
Yeah.
blah. The knife and the gun were both picked up during the raid on the fang dagger and the gun were
No,
both picked up
it was a different knife.
Yeah.
The fang dagger was picked up during the
Okay.
fight in the sewers.
Just want to make sure.
There was a different knife that was picked up during the encounter in.
I
in
really
the-
don't think we should sell it right now. He might be looking for that. Yeah, Nina.
Where'd the
I
other
didn't get a
thing
chance
go?
to look at it, actually.
I
Is there
assume Paul still has it because actually, Eamon, do you know if they said anything about the other one?
the other knife, they called it a blood letter? Something, blood piercer, blood something. That was a magic knife, and I think Paul filed it with him on repository or something.
You do know that it was basically, well, hold on to this. If you want it back, just ask us.
Right.
So,
But he's
yeah.
got called to pull it back if he needs it. So
Okay.
if we need it, he can get it according to whatever option. Oh, that reminds me. And he pulls out his phone. Just in case you'll need this. Well, you can write it down or whatever. I've got an audio recording of it, and he plays back Paul's verbal directions to the driver from the lift the night before for everybody.
Nice.
So that's how you, and I mean that'll get you to the building at least, it seems. But look, I know.
You sure it works?
Oh,
Did you take that route twice?
No,
It might not work a second time.
I didn't know. But anyway, look, I know you all got your issues with Paul, and he does seem to march to the beat of his own drum a bit in a way that most of us would prefer he actually talk a bit more about. But I don't have any questions personally about his intentions in terms of the larger picture.
No,
Not his
honestly,
intentions I'm concerned about. It's his organization's
I don't have any
directive.
concerns about. I mean, I have concerns about the amount of regard he has for other people's opinions on a group thing. But Paul's fine. No problem with Paul, like I said last night.
I don't really like.
And I certainly have no desire to start a war with or break into someone's.
I mean, I mostly
headquarters.
took down the directions is in case if Paul gets in trouble or something, at least we know where to find his people and can hopefully get in touch with them.
Right, exactly. No, it's good to know.
I just don't like that he thinks we don't notice when he does things that we tell him not to or ask that people not do. He pretends he wasn't listening so that he can get his way. He tries to manipulate people by guilting them, walking out when someone calls him on his bullshit. Those things are.
I mean,
I have
I'm
to
not
deal
gonna.
with enough authority from the people I
I
actually.
did throw a shotgun at his head.
That's not a.
That was
He has
attempted
no
assault.
way of knowing that it wasn't loaded.
That was attempted
He
assault.
walked out
Colleen
before it
says.
became clear to anybody. I don't care about that. I threw a shotgun at
Attempted assault is
Yeah.
kind of our
But-
job description. I'm not concerned about attempted.
I also didn't think I was going to hit because, frankly, I've never thrown a shotgun with much accuracy in the past.
Have you ever
you
thrown a
thrown a
shotgun in the past? Apparently, Colleen and Sean ask him the same time.
Yes, I have. But A, he didn't know that, and B, he didn't know that it wasn't loaded. I don't necessarily blame him for walking out. I blame him for the thing that made me throw the shotgun at his head.
I mean, that's not an isolated incident, though.
No, it's not. Like,
If
it's,
it was a one-time thing, I'd be like, yeah, someone threw a shotgun at you. You walked out the door. Cool. Let things cool off.
Yeah. it is what
but
it is.
That's a pattern of behavior. Yeah. I'm not. You might have
Colleen.
noticed I don't let things that are not okay just continue being that way.
Colleen stands up from where she had been sitting in a meditative position for the past several minutes.
We figured out how to spit it out yet.
I don't think that's quite possible. From what I can gather with just the introspection and the analysis that I could do, I think I've sort of broken it down on a fundamental level and absorbed its magical energy.
Sweet.
All right. Now,
I
can you
have an
explain that again
question.
in smaller terms?
So this is my magic knife. There are not many like it, and this one is mine.
I've got a handle on it. I won't do it involuntarily now, I think.
You're the best.
Sean, basically,
You know how when you eat food, you get nutrients from it?
Yeah.
Like that, but with magic.
except for you also gain the powers of whatever you were eating.
So I have a fun question. Theoretically, I'm just using this example for the record because it is the most obviously inherently magical infused example. But if you were to run across a vampire and you are really magically hungry, could you just make it go poof?
I don't want to test that.
No, but if you have to at some point, like if it's a life or death, a vampire is like, trying to drown you in a puddle or something.
Maybe, but there's a very large difference between an inanimate object with magical power and something with an essence and a soul and a sentience.
I mean, does a vampire have a soul?
If we
Really?
We've had this conversation a lot back at the monastery. The answer is yes. It's just not the same kind of soul that normal people do.
Sorry,
Okay, so-
Astrid, no offense.
Yeah, Astrid's glaring at you right now.
I'm sorry. It is a valid question to ask because
So we're not going to try that, but if we absolutely need to try something stupid on the colonel for some reason, it
See,
is
this
on
is
the.
why we were
stupid
saving the
option.
vampire in the bathroom so that we could have had some materials for these sort of experiments.
No, because this is the kind of experiment that might end the world with like some sort of reality warping, soul rending. spill hell out into the living room nonsense.
Who knows what if the answer to what activates the God machine is turning a vampire into nom 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 energy.
I mean, that would be pretty fucking metal if it was.
But
It would
So
be. I'm not gonna lie.
know, actually, William, can I take a look at the ruining sort of tattoo, see if I recognize it at all as
Yeah.
because I have Tongue of Babel, so if it has any sort of language to it, I can read it.
Go ahead and roll me intelligence and occult. And as you're saying that, she was actually bringing up.
Her.
Yeah, it's not quite a language, but yeah, as you were saying that, she kind of brings her arm up. From what I can tell, these markings are sort of an indication of my growing abilities and power. I think if I basically, as I absorb more magic things, my own abilities probably grow, as far as I can tell.
My dice are my dice, so one success.
What she's saying seems like the most accurate. They seem more like guidelines for arcane energy than actual language or script.
Because I think I've forgotten to mention this consistently every episode. If anyone's native tongue is not English, you hear me speak in that.
Cool.
I mean, I wasn't born pre-1970-ish, so it's probably English for me.
So probably not most of the group. I just have never remembered to mention that weird element of my ability.
Always confused why Drew speaks in Latin.
It's a dead language.
Not to me.
You're a dead man.
So, all right, that's good to know. And if we find this Crimson Veil thing, maybe you can just, and then the vampires can have it.
I think maybe.
No. We do not.
I have a feeling that maybe that's why they want.
We don't want the God Machine activator to absorb the God Machine.
Yeah.
No, the Crimson Veil is a vampire-specific artifact that is anti-sunlight. But I think that
Paul
that
falls
is what
off the bed.
they want Colleen to absorb or interface with and potentially amplify this Crimson Veil thing that gives them sunlight immunity.
Right. While we're having this conversation.
Okay. Really quick, am I confused about the fact that there's one thing that everybody is calling their own thing?
So
It's hard. So, as a storyteller, everyone is looking for their own thing. You had run the theory that all of them are looking for the same thing and calling it a different name, and that same thing would be Colleen.
Right.
But different things it can do listed.
Yeah, but they've all got different ideas of what that artifact can achieve. Right. So theoretically, if that artifact does exist on its own, potentially some of them could be trying to use Colleen to enhance or use that artifact, if that's, I believe, is the thought process that Drew is following.
Because keep in mind, and I'm just going to go back in character now, keep in mind, they had Colleen for a long time, and their objective was to have Colleen help them find the Crimson Veil.
Right.
Which, as far as our research has indicated, to them at least, is a distinct artifact with a traceable heritage that is anti-vampire and was most recently seen in
it was in Dracula's castle.
The Impaler's tomb.
Right, exactly.
Like that.
But I'm still not entirely sold on the idea that it's not necessarily everybody is still looking for this same other half of this equation.
Right. That may very well be the possibility.
Because our lovely teen magic energy absorber here
Magical girl
is able to alter what?
A magical girl.
No, that's a trope and a bad one.
No, it's a type of it's not an actual creature, it's a theoretical type of creature, but
anyway, the can manipulate and change the basics of reality. We learned that one with the whole nightmare thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if she can be directed to do that in particular ways, there might be something out there that is a catch-all sort of thing, which brings up all sorts of other problems of even us being involved.
Oh,
Because we all
news
have
on
ways we want the world to be.
Yeah.
news on that front. By the way, she says, holding up her hand. I didn't take a drink last night, and everything was fine. The knife might have helped with that.
Wait. GM, to what extent am I aware that like a lot of magical creatures feed on something, emotion / blood / whatever werewolves eat?
Roll me intelligence and occult.
That's all very nice, but I do have a call to make. I'm going to call Father Seamus.
Go.
Or Brother
4
Seamus.
successes, finally.
Yeah,
Like,
nice.
do something.
Yeah.
Oh.
A lot of supernatural creatures do have a specific alternate substance that they subsist on. Not all in the same way. First, it's not always it's not always sustenance for them, but a lot of them have a unique energy that they call their own, which they use to fuel their abilities and oftentimes themselves, such as the case with vampires and blood. You don't know the specifics about every detail, but you do know that there is an energy source associated with most supernatural abilities.
So, following the logic of vampires, because that's the one we've discussed the most, vampires drink blood, not just because they're evil and it's fun, but because not all of them are evil and like for sustenance and survival and to use their abilities, whatever those might be. And the same follows for a lot of forms of demons. Is it theoretically possible that Pauline eats magic and having magic increases stability, like a very starving vampire? Or my specialty area is changeling, so a changeling that hasn't done the thing they do in a long time can be sort of out of it or essentially hungry, unstable.
Right. She's a thaumaivore.
Nice.
I didn't get that one.
Thaumaivore. Thom magic.
Oh,
Avore.
yeah, okay. Not referencing one of the things that's on the televisions. Got it. Yeah, makes sense. Possibly. Well, that's something we
Not
could
outside
actually
the
use.
realm of possibility.
Ring, 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 ring.
Yeah. So while that's happening, eventually your phone call picks up after a few rings. Hello there, Brother Seamus.
Hello, Brother Seamus. This is Father Mulcahy calling to you. We're in need of some information. Hoping to find out if any of the Brotherhood have been operating in the city without due clearance or reporting in at any point in time recently.
As far as the Brotherhood of the Malleus, you are the only folk with a Lance of Longinus around here. As far as the other groups, I don't think there's too much activity going around, especially not that we've noticed being unreported. Although, to be fair, if it's unreported, we might not have noticed it.
Just fair. Just wondering if anybody other than us have been operating and maybe asking for assistance or anything without necessarily having been deployed here on their own.
Not that I found thus far, although I could check with the Vatican and see if there's been any major reports, but I don't think there's been anything major going down right now.
If you could check, and also see if anyone's gone rogue from the organization recently that might be in the area.
I'll run a scan for you.
Thank you. Just give me a call back when you get something.
Cars.
Someone who's Catholic, tell me what a traditional Catholic send-off is.
Bye.
There you go.
Right.
Goodbye.
You still owe me that $20.
Catholicism is not Faerun. They do not have their own
No,
special life.
but when you're a when you're a priest of a religious organization,
other
saying
appropriate
goodbye.
The one I'm most familiar with.
Peace be upon you. Is that a thing?
Peace be with you.
That's more of a Protestant thing.
That is more
Yeah,
of
it's
a
not
Protestant thing.
Catholic.
Yeah.
'Cause
Mhm.
That's what I was thinking, but I knew that wasn't Catholic.
No.
I didn't
I'm
know.
a Baha'i. I'm guessing. I don't know.
I didn't know if Catholics had anything in specific ways to say goodbye that would
Nope.
be deemed appropriate, other than saying goodbye.
Nah, that's pretty much what they do.
Catch you later, motherfucker.
Probably not that.
Talk to you later.
Demons out.
Brother. Click.
All right, I'll see you later. He hangs up.
Well, nothing right now off the top of his head regarding any rogue aspects of our particular organization. Though he will check in and see if anyone has had an issue.
That's good to know.
I am. I'm fairly sure it's probably not Union. We're pretty good about policing, and we're very community oriented. Current example notwithstanding.
Probably good to check though.
I'll check it out.
Maybe
I'm
check
trying to.
because
Yeah.
it was your place. So if someone's been stalking Union members, they're more likely to be targeting.
like that.
unions.
I don't like that line of thinking, but you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I just.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just like I told Eamon last night. I'm trying not to bring the whole organization into it because, well, as much as any organization, my organization meddles and gets involved when they feel like they need to get involved. And I don't think we know this well enough. And I don't think we want all the different factions fighting over
If
this
it
thing.
helps,
So
I'm on the same page on that.
I want to check with Ashwood before I start checking with the union.
Hey, it seems like we should go off and talk to these monster fuck, marry,
I
kill.
have a way of
fellas.
getting in contact with my faction, right?
Yeah, you can make contact either with the 13 nearby, because you're typically given a method of contact to reach out to them, or you can reach out directly to the home base in Italy somewhere whose location I can't think of right now. It's in the description of.
We're not actually in Rome because they're in Rome, but it's clearly quite awkward.
And yes, like you are in Italy specifically because the Vatican is also in Italy.
Yeah.
When in Rome, fuck with the Romans, right? That's what. No.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
that is a thing you
because
do, yes,
we're-
but
No, we have a base and I think a city.
is it in Sicily?
Yeah. No, I'll probably just, once I get a moment alone, reach out to the nearest member of the 13th, the one who's in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you it's a fairly simple trick that every Lucifuge is taught that can basically trigger a phone call that is not natural and doesn't actually go along cell lines, that causes the nearest phone to the other Lucifuge to ring, which is usually the cell phone in their pocket, but if it's not on them, whatever like the nearest phone nearby is.
Right.
I like the idea of being a Lucifuge who solely communicates via broken public phones, like broken public payphones.
Devil May Cry, yeah.
I really like the idea that it's the Soul Eater thing where you breathe on a mirror and then write the digits in.
But yes, Devil May Cry, William, where it's like, there's no way this phone should work. Ring, 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 ring.
I mean, I was gonna say Matrix.
Milan is where the base is at, by the way.
Right.
But yeah, so you
Malone.
yeah, The rings a couple of times, and you hear the heavy click of like a wall receiver being lifted up as someone pulls a phone over to their head. Hello.
Hello, it's Drew. I'm one of the 13. I'm Jonas's replacement.
Right. This is you have Laurentius.
I think I've run into a rogue or wannabe hunter. I was just wanting to determine if there was any fake wannabe or anyone who'd gotten, to your knowledge, if there was anyone running around trying to pretend to be one of us.
I found someone making a road trip towards Atlanta some time back who decided that they wanted to go on a killing spree of local creatures in the area, along with a few of the mortals who were in their path. I put an end to them, but I don't think that's the person you're looking for, but I've certainly seen the activity.
No, but it is worth knowing that there might be more than one with the same inclinations. That matches the behavior patterns. Mortal or something else?
They were mortal, but there was something unnatural about them. Right. They were too sturdy for a standard mortal. They took bullets too well.
Any to specific method of killing?
More bullets, unfortunately, was just my answer.
No, I mean if they had a MO for their killings.
No. That one in particular seemed to fancy environmental offense, by which I mean they liked to use anything and everything they could find on hand to make life painful for their victims. Broken walls, bits of detritus, street lamps in one case.
Okay. Well, thanks. Stay safe.
You as well.
That's always a weird one to test. Is he are they human or not? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he resists bullets really well. Bam, bam, bam. Nope, normal human.
No, it's a bullet resistant, not bullet immune human.
Right.
Resistances can be overcome. It just takes twice the amount.
But like first bullet in the chest. Oops, it's a normal human.
Well, she drowned in the river. Her soul will be at peace because she's not a witch.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, the murder is the reason we killed him. Yeah. I'm just gonna go into the now vampire-free bathroom, stare at the mirror for a minute.
Well, if we're about to go talk to some Ashwood Abbey folks, I call Paul.
Where am I at this point, Will?
Probably about 5 minutes out.
Okay. Paul will pick up. Good morning.
Good morning, Paul. Did you sleep well?
I did, actually. Funny thing, when I was back in my own hotel room, nobody threw a single thing at me.
Sounds boring and unexciting then. We're about to go talk to the folks at the Ashwood Abbey if you're wanting to head this way over.
Oh, I'm actually just about 5 minutes out. Brought some breakfast. If you all don't mind holding tight.
Good, I'm fucking starving.
Good. See you soon, then.
Hey, and you can ride in the van with me. We won't throw anything at you there.
It's all right.
I say that with a shit-eating grin right at Nina.
Do me a favor. Let Nina know I'm on the way. And have some peace offerings.
Will do. Click.
You realize that we can order food, like
I
Oh,
believe he
there's
literally ordered
already
pizza.
a pizza on the way. I just don't say that to Paul.
Fair enough.
Paul's on the way. He's bringing peace offerings
Okay.
and food,
All right.
which means we're gonna have a lot of food in a minute.
I was thinking, I know that this is. It's not just because I'm uncomfortable with you being a Satanist, I promise. But given that this location seems to
Did you see
be
my expression? My eyes slightly narrow because they did.
a bit on the compromised end of things,
Okay.
it might be worth seeing if we could invest in a secondary base that is not a church.
No, it's not. It would not be bad to have a backup place. I still
Yeah.
definitely want to stay here, personally.
Yeah,
But it would be
that's fair.
nice
I
to
was
have a
just
backup
thinking
place that we can run to in case of emergency, or
someone
if other people are not.
already set up, already secure, and not a
Right.
church.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm down with that. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go outside, have a cigarette, and wait for our thief to show up.
About 5 minutes later, while you're outside finishing a cigarette.
Keep in mind, he may have retrieved a powerful artifact that he might use to stab you. Probably not.
If you hear me shout, "I've been stabbed," shoot him in the head.
How does everyone feel about a bunker underneath the church?
No.
No. That was part of the previous attempts at negotiation.
We can keep offering our hospitality, brother, but they're never going to take it.
I know. At this point, it's just fun for me.
Yeah.
At this point, I just enjoy getting the rise out of him.
So yeah,
about 5 minutes later, as you're finishing
I'm
a cigarette,
downstairs.
Paul's lift pulls up.
Sup?
Hey, give me a hand with these bags, would you? He gets out and he's holding a couple of bags with donuts and various pastries.
She'll grab them, move over and put them down in sort of the staircase. Before we go up there, let's talk this out.
He holds up his hand and says, "Look, before you say anything, this is our first job working together,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand I haven't done much to foster trust. Magical artifacts, as you may have surmised, are sort of my bag.
I know it's your
have
group.
a
It's your group.
specific directive. Exactly, a specific directive. Look, I understand. I left the Luger last night. I've retrieved the knife. He reaches down and pulls up his the cuff of his pant leg and said, "You don't strike me as the sort of person who's most familiar with knives. Eamon has his brand new toy. I thought I might hold on to this one, but it's here. It's still among us. We took it back to the labyrinth to make sure it couldn't be used to track us backwards by the Colonel. Looks
And
like
that's
it's full.
fine. I get that. So here's the thing. I'm not interested in either of the weapons. This is not a you're getting a thing that I'm not getting thing. I have no desire. I can actually wield a knife fairly well, but I'm not interested. The concern.
He holds up a hand again. He says, "You told me we should talk about it first, and I didn't listen to you. That was my bad."
That was the whole of the concern.
I understand it. So if you don't throw any more things at me, I think you can understand why I removed myself. I'm not exactly a heated confrontation sort of guy.
Mm-hmm.
May have picked up on that. I figured I'd go apart. Let us think about it. I figured I'd think about what I may have done to elicit shotgun chucking.
Right.
And
it was
come
unloaded, by the way. I was not trying to murder you.
Paul says, candidly, one way or the other, that wasn't really the focus. It was the fact that your response to hearing that we'd visited the labyrinth brought
Was I
about
threw a shotgun at your head? Yes.
Right. I'll be more open and forthcoming
I
going
appreciate
forward.
that.
And if
I
we
will-
make an agreement to have a conversation, we certainly will. For your part, if you make a suggestion, please don't take that as an agreement without assent on the other person's part.
That's fair. I assumed, to be fair on my part, when I say we need to have a conversation, and then there's no, we're not having a conversation, it's easy to assume assent.
Understood.
But
Won't happen again.
valid point. All right, we're cool.
All right. Wasn't sure what sort of donuts people like, so I got a little bit of everything.
Okay,
Right about
there's
then, a
also
pizza guy
pizza
comes in.
coming.
Oh, well, that sounds horrifyingly American. I look forward to watching.
Oh, I am totally having,
American
I'm
version.
totally having donut pizza.
And they'll if unless Nina wants to have any other private words, they can head inside.
Yeah.
And a few minutes later, pizza arrives.
Okay. While we're waiting, Paul will come in and say to sort of address the group in general. I'd like to not repeat what happened last night. Nina and I have had some words. I think she and I are on the same page. And he looks over at Nina.
Yep. We are. Everything's good.
And he says, and look, I'm not going to cast any aspersions on the individual affiliations that you all have. We're all here. We're working together, but we're also working with independent outfits with independent interests. But I can certainly understand that my actions may have made it appear that I have ulterior motives, ulterior goals. I'm here. I'm just as interested in stopping things as you all are. I really, again, I've brought back the artifacts that were a question. I feel like they can be of use. Eamon, I hope you'll inform everyone that we certainly didn't throw a bag over your head and steal your fang dagger. You're currently working with it and holding on to it.
No, but there
we're
was
all
the
here to
bag
get
over the
some
head
things
bit,
done
which
together.
honestly felt like, it was, I mean, it was part of the whole aesthetic now, wasn't it?
Right, but we didn't steal anything while the bag.
Oh,
was
no,
over
of
the head,
course
my
not.
point.
No.
But
I mean, you go to a secret place that's called what do you lads call your little hidey hole bits anyway? And but anyway, you go and they don't try to put a bag over your head. I feel like it's barely worth the price of admission at that point.
it takes away from the whole mystique at that point.
For what it's worth, if I didn't trust you, I'd have shot you already.
Well, understood. Which,
by the way, is not a one-time thing. Just for everyone in the room. If I don't trust you, you're getting shot.
That's fair.
And Paul says also, and of course, as you all know, the Aegis's primary interest is in the acquisition of dangerous magical artifacts. But we will certainly have conversations going forward about the disposal of any further artifacts. And I want to make it very clear, in case there's any confusion, I am certainly well aware of the difference between a magical artifact and a magical person. Two very different things. No confusion on my end. Fair game?
I should probably point out that disposal has a couple of different meanings too now, she says, indicating her arm.
Yeah, by the way, we probably need to feed Khalid magical items now.
Hey!
I don't think...
It's a good thing you're here, Paul.
I don't think need is...
I'm kidding.
I mean, when you weren't
Paul tries to look
full.
surprised at this information.
When you weren't full, you warped reality and made demon birds appear, and also have had some pretty significant nightmares. So, when possible, you having eaten magic might be preferable. It's up to you.
Eamon,
Hi.
can you bless a dagger real quick?
I don't think that's how that works.
I just want to check.
Already thought of it. When I've got the time and we've got the energy, we'll take a look.
But yeah, update though. According to my folks, this might be a pattern of behavior, which could support the Ashwood Abbey indications. Apparently, one of my colleagues nearby ran into someone headed to Atlanta who was also murdering every supernatural and also some mortals they came across. Different MO, but still intentionally torturous.
I wonder if this Terminus tendency thing is drawing slashers together as well.
Wouldn't be
I mean-
surprised.
Um,
So, sorry,
Paul
Paul, go
says,
ahead.
no, I just quickly. Paul says, I also asked the folks back at the Aegis. I called in after I left last night, and they said candidly that the sword and the scroll have been too busy out dealing with the recent upswing in mage activity in the area to have noticed much in the way of is it splasher? Is that the term we're using?
Slasher seems to be the term we're using at the moment.
Delightful. Slasher
films,
activity. So nothing that that my folks have noticed.
So, here's my question. What do we have beyond the Abbey? as
Well,
current leads?
Random fuckers out in the
The
streets.
reason that I ask is I feel like it would be better for a smaller group to approach them.
Smaller
Yeah.
group of
They're a
like-minded
little
individuals.
bit unstable, by which I mean they're fucking nuts. And well, a show of force would be good if they're going to attack regardless. A smaller group, they're the kind of group that will respond to aggressiveness with aggressiveness.
Paul is just giving Nina a huge side eye right now.
We're past that, fuckstain.
Storyteller.
He breaks into a big grin
Storyteller.
and winks.
Yes.
Have those of us in the Malleus Maleficarum had any dealings with Ashwood Abbey in the city?
Probably not, but you can go ahead and give me a wits and streetwise.
And by dealings, I mean, have we had to shoot at them before or not? Wits and
Yeah.
streetwise.
Other
Wits
thing,
and- really quick, would our professional training dots apply?
No.
Sean and Eamon have their hitman contacts, and possibly we were talking about taking out a newspaper communication with this person. I can help with that.
That would be more useful once we have any idea at all.
Yeah, anything to go on.
As far as Ashwood Abbey goes for Eamon, the Abbey tends to be more present on the social scene when it comes to monsters. Creatures that frequent parties, they're very big with they're very big with the vampires, because vampires are very social creatures. They tend to be the kind of people that will make their way into the soiree that has a vampire somewhere near the top and be the life of the party and also the death of the party's host.
We need to follow up on the Colonel, and there's also that that club, which we never really wrapped that up either.
You're not wrong.
But yeah.
Which I believe was the club that you guys were told the Ashwood Abbey tend to frequent. I don't recall.
That's very
that sounds
possible.
right.
I didn't realize that.
So
but
my suggestion would be those who sort of more fit the Ashwood motif, namely probably Astrid, me, and Paul, go meet with them. Because it'd be nice if this didn't turn into a gunfight, and if we could actually get information, because I don't think it's them, but they may know what's going on. And then you guys go check out the Colonel or whatever the other thing is.
yeah, that's a good idea. Take Crowley with you for emergency purposes.
Oh no, please don't tell me to take your demon dog with me.
Aren't you worried he'll be the subject of their next hunt?
William, to my like hunters versus like how realistic is that?
I mean, if they had a way to detect that your dog was a demon, maybe, but you don't know that the Ashwood Abbey are known to be supernatural detectors.
I mean, it's not exactly easy to detect him in the first place, and he doesn't need to go in with you. It's just if he's in, he can actually stay hidden pretty well. You won't see him unless it's obvious or necessary.
Cool.
But he can tell me, hey, a gunfight just started inside the meeting. And then I can bring the stabbing and the guns over.
Right. Makes sense.
But yeah, don't necessarily bring him in, but they're not, unless they've got a like magical perimeter detector that works on very mild supernatural.
Yeah, no, it should be good. Cool.
Just leave him around, he'll be a stray dog in the neighborhood.
Sounds like a plan.
I don't know what we have. I don't know what we have necessarily to look at for the Colonel at the moment, at least. Do we have any additional information?
Unless Astrid's brother heard anything about reconnecting.
I asked. He said that he's almost tracked him down several times before, but he's been gone once he made it into the place, just like us.
Okay, wait. Hey.
Unless the computers have turned up anything, were we able to...
your cracking software is going to take about another like 10 to
Yeah,
12 hours.
I figured that wasn't going to
What about, what if you said every time he's already been out of there, and we have reason to think now that he wasn't the one who delivered the bodies, potentially.
No.
What if do vampire psychics exist? The vampires that can predict murderous things coming at them like the knife can, but on a residential scale?
Do we know anything about that, William?
Intelligence and occult.
Do our status in the Maleficarum?
I know I'm asking because I'm not a vampire expert, but
You can add, how many dots of status do you have?
2 for me.
You can both add 1.
Intelligence, cult. Plus...
Can I roll this too?
oh, thank fuck, 4 successes. Finally.
I got 10s.
I got 1 success.
I got 4.
Yes, you can also roll.
2.
I will also roll as well. 1.
So for those of you that got 1 and 2 successes, danger sense is a thing, but it's not usually like, it's usually sort of like your typical Spidey sense of like, you can just sort of, as the thing is coming at you, you can get a better reaction to it. It's very, you don't think you've ever heard of anything that's sort of like precognition on the scale of I can sense an attack coming. But those of you at 4 successes know that while not necessarily like precognition of potential attacks, there is the possibility that he just has very well-informed and fast scouts and messengers who can give him a large lead that are difficult to detect. And depending on what kind of abilities he has, he could have anything from invisible ghosts watching around for him to just small animals under his control.
Right.
He talks to mosquitoes, probably.
That is more realistic. But also actually probably harder to counter than flat out psychics.
We just need to put a lot of bug repellent all over our clothes.
No,
Get us
because
some
then the
zappers.
squirrels will tell on you.
That's why you get some zappers.
They're called slashers. We've been over
No,
this.
zapper. No, the fucking. You hang them on the side of the house and squirrels crawl in them and get electrocuted. It's not intentional, but they do.
I mean, for some people, it's intentional. Not me.
Meanwhile,
Some people-
Aiden is eating the most American thing that he can manufacture, which in his case is a piece of pepperoni pizza with 2 jelly donuts on it, and then another piece of pepperoni pizza, and he's eating it like a sandwich.
Nina's gone the other way, which is Boston cream pizza, Boston cream.
Sean just
You're
has
on
a
a
slice
plate,
of pizza in
Knife
one
and
hand.
fork, and he's cutting up the pizza with a knife and fork to eat it, and then we'll eat the donut with a knife and fork.
Paul
And
is
she
eating.
says, I'm the evil one.
Paul is eating a croissant and watching the rest of this in fascinated horror.
Astrid has a donut wrapped up in pizza, dipping it in tequila.
I just have a pizza in one hand and a donut in the other because I'm not psychotic, apparently.
Astrid's the real monster.
Astrid
Right.
I love the characterization board of how everyone's eating pizza and donuts.
Yeah, these are the best moments. Well, I actually was raised with some level of decorum education.
Oh, so was I. I
see you retained it.
No. I actively chose to say several graphic things to what those etiquette things can do, because etiquette is just another form of repression.
I feel like we're
Etiquette's how you
tapping. I feel like.
People who think they're better than you.
I feel like we're tapping into some very, very good and healthy repressed feelings right now. But can we potentially get the fuck on with it?
Yeah, so aside from finding somewhere to have a sting operation where the poor blind boy and his preacher friend do something, I don't have any ideas.
All the information I'm getting, I'm waiting. I have to wait on. We can go wait at the church, but I feel like Drew doesn't want that.
Oh, yeah, we're not waiting at the church.
All right, so you guys
got your thing. We'll go Abifine.
We could try and get back in contact with the werewolves.
Unfortunately, my brother has one of their toys right now, so we're not necessarily the best group to do that.
We need to reshuffle the groups if that was happening. Never
Is
mind.
the toy at home?
You've obviously never seen my brother with his toys.
We could also wait.
Fire demon inside of it, I'd recommend not just leaving it at home. The fire demon might get mad and like consume you.
We
Sorry.
could also wait to.
Faces.
We could also wait to touch base with him until we find out exactly what Ashwood Abbey's been up to.
Fair.
Oh, then sounds like we've got our own separate ways to go now.
Mario Party.
Mario Party it is.
So, the three of you head to the bar.
Yep.
You head to Sentis.
I want to change into my nicest clothes quickly.
Crowley is just gonna hang out somewhere outside of the bar. Does not currently have his vest on.
Yep.
Using that sort of unseen trait familiars have.
Yep. And
Along
so,
the way there, I am explaining at length about why etiquette is all over simply about repression. Because it teaches young women that they have to be proper and precise and demure and everything, and men can manspread.
No, I mean I'm not disagreeing with you. I think it's fantastic
Yes.
that she's on that as
Yes.
a subject, and it basically just I would imagine is holding forth on this the entirety of the
The
drive.
entire way there.
You enter Sentis. The music is currently on sort of a electronic remix of like what would normally sound like a ballroom dance.
So EDM.
Kind of, yeah.
Yep. This is why, for the record, I go at night, not in the morning when the music sucks.
You seem to be implying that EDM doesn't suck.
No, opposite.
Like, yes, definitely the opposite.
But the as you walk in, you sort of take a look around, and there's roll me wits and composure.
All of us?
The three of you that are there.
Okay.
Because let me tell you how, like, it's not hard to pick out the Ashwood Abbey. You just have to spot them.
0.
Astrid sees nothing.
Yep.
Astrid has been blinded by Baba Yaga.
2.
So, well, Astrid is currently just kind of watching the area and kind of looking around. Nina and Paul, as you look around, your eyes are immediately drawn to one of the booth seats, where there is a woman in what can only be described as Victorian Gothic, long flowing dress that is simultaneously flowing and elegant and form-fitting and revealing. Like where it reaches down around the legs, it sort of flows and shifts and has a lot of different patterns cut into it, where the areas become transparent and just become mesh in certain areas of the lower skirt. Sort of got this sort of almost like a leaf pattern in the lower ends of the skirt, but as it rises up, it becomes more solid and clings much more tightly to her figure, with the very large open keyhole in the center. With no arms, just straps that go up around the neck and down the back again. Drinking from the most ornate and overly decorated goblet of red wine. With her hair pulled up in this very, very flowing and elegant curly bun. Hair is black with sort of red streaks put through it. Having a conversation with a gentleman who looks like he's in like a butcher's outfit. Like he's got the big white shirt with the oversized cuffs that are rolled up and the apron sort of tossed loosely on the back of the chair that he's sitting on, with the rolled up slacks. And he's got this almost predatory, just faint smirk on his face as he's got just this plate of hot dogs in front of him. It's sort of like this bright red hot dog meat material, as he sort of like picks one up and just kind of has this lazy conversation with this woman as he takes a slow bite of this hot dog and just kind of sets it back down. His hair is sort of ever so faintly tinged blue at the edges, but is mostly also black. I
lean in. Don't eat the fucking hot dogs.
No, I'm on board with you there. What can I roll to see what I know about the relationship between the Aegis and the
Abbey
and the Abbey? Yeah.
Roll me wits and streetwise.
Worth checking, since I know at least 2 of us ride motorcycles and one of us uses a lift. How did we get here with Demon Dog?
Probably an animal-friendly lift.
Exist.
Get accessible lift.
Okay. I wasn't sure if we took the van or what.
No, it costs extra. But
I feel like Nina would never want to drive the van.
No. That profanes the church, so it works.
Except that it's a van with an airbrushed picture of.
I'm the one with the problem with the van.
Someone.
Of the Virgin Mary.
Virgin Mary on it.
Yeah. Whatever. Virgin Mary's hot.
I mean, in the airbrush, I guess.
So, with one success, the Aegis and the Abbey don't talk much. And it's probably because they just don't care about each other.
Okay. All right. Good to
Because
know. Thank
they're
you.
both interested in magical things. It's just there's pretty strong delineation of can be eaten, can't be eaten.
Yep.
And the E just keeps to one side and the Abbey goes to the other.
Paul, Astrid, I think you two might have to do the talking, because if I talk, it's probably going to end up with me going somewhere with someone. I'm just saying.
Fair enough. And Paul will look over at Astrid and said, "Would you like to make the introductions, or should I?"
Why don't you go ahead and make introductions? You're very good at that.
Cheers. And he will turn and with a big smile walk over to the table and say, "Good afternoon. I hope you don't mind us bothering you, but we couldn't help but notice such refined individuals and thought we might have some interests in common."
All right, hang on a second.
Which is at the point where, like, just where Paul is, just Nina's head sort of appears, like resting on his shoulders, like, I want to buy you a drink.
I don't think you have to worry about Paul eating the hot dogs. He only eats like actually good English food, like rag pudding and Nigel Slater and Spotted Dick.
Spotted Dick, yep. Not the canned stuff, though. I need that real Spotted Dick.
I heard that just the other night.
And
12.
In a hole. That sort of thing.
Really are.
and the woman turns to the group of you, and she immediately looks the three of you up and down, takes a sip of her wine. You must be that new multi-organization cell that I've been hearing plenty about. Well, it's a lovely time to meet you. I'm Lady Vesica of the Abbey, and this is my good friend Latreus of the Faithful of Shilpay. It's good to meet you. And that is where we're going to end for the week.
Hey, bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Sweet LA, I gave my broken soul to you. Sweet LA, why do you hurt me like you do? I keep running and rushing to catch a clue to the mystery of your dark heart. I could never have known from the signs I was shown that the game was rigged from the start. Sweet LA, all of these trials you put me through, lights. There are shadows nobody sees. In the dim of your dusk, you're a cold-blooded husk, spreading poison into the breeze. Sweet LA, why do you hurt me like you do? Why do you hurt me like you do? Open the oldest wounds, these memories haunt me. Your secrets and crooked smiles, they torment and taunt me. I long for atonement arms, carry me back, but the reel keeps on spinning loose and the screen is fading to black. Sweet LA, I give my